Well, it's been a bit of a hot one, but I think it's time we talk about more JoJo.
This is your path to be. We're all here just for all the fun. Now you're jamming hard, yeah. Hype it up all once again. Hype it up. Now you're jamming hard, yeah. Hype it up all once again. Hype it up.
Right everyone, it's me Jack from Bloody Jack Channel. Now, I know it's been a bit of a while since I've actually done a proper review of an anime. So obviously, a couple months back, I did a video talking about the live-action adaptation of One Piece. I thought now it's time to go back to formula.
Back to formula.
And talk about JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, but this time we're doing, as you can tell from my shelf, we're doing part 5, Golden Wind. So for those of you who don't know, Golden Wind, or Oga no Kaze, also known as Vento Oro, is the 5th story arc of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, written and illustrated by Hirohiko Araki. It was serialized in Weekly Shonen Jump from December 11th, 1995 to April 5th, 1999. In its original publication, it was referred to as JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 5, Giorno Giovanna, Golden Heritage. The 155 chapters were collected into 17 tankobon volumes. It was preceded by Diamond is Unbreakable, and then later followed up by Stone Ocean. A video game adaptation of Part 5 was released in 2002 for the Sony PlayStation 2, but only as a Japanese exclusive. There were plans to originally have it released worldwide, but due to some legal complications, it never actually came to be. An anime adaptation by David Production, known for Fire Force, Thus Spoke Rohan Kishibe, and the remake of Urusei Yatsura, aired on TV from October 6, 2018 to July 28, 2019 for a total of 39 episodes. Since then, Viz Media had been re-releasing the manga in an English hardcover edition, going from August 2021 to September 2023, consisting for a total of 9 volumes. Now we've got the general plot of, the synopsis, if you will, of Part 5. Set in 2001 Italy, the story follows Giorno Giovanna and his dream to rise within the Neapolitan mafia and defeat the boss of Passione, the most powerful and influential gang, in order to make himself a gangstar. With the aid of a capo and his men, and fueled by his own resolve, Giorno must fulfill his goal of absolving the mafia of its entire corruption. So this is where we're going to end up going into some of the more spoiler territory. So if you guys have not seen JoJo Part 5, I'd highly recommend you click off this video and go straight on to like Netflix. I know it's playing on Netflix right now, and also if you guys have Crunchyroll, it'll be on there as well, or do what I did and get the Blu-rays. So, without further ado, let's get right into the spoilers and get right into the meat of Part 5. So the story begins with Koichi, that we know from Part 4, coming out of the airport in Napoli, and immediately encountering our 5th JoJo, Giorno Giovanna. We find out that Giorno is actually the son of Dio, so at some point during Part 3, whilst Dio was still getting used to having control of Jonathan Joestar's body, he didn't have complete control over it, so when he was eventually using women as sustenance, and he decided to breed with a few women, Giorno ended up sharing more qualities with Joestars than what he did with the Brandos. We then learned that Giorno moved from Japan to Italy because his mother married an Italian man who used to beat him behind his mother's back. One day, Giorno was then saved by a mysterious man who we then find out is actually part of the Mafia. As a way of saying thank you, the man made Giorno's life a little bit more better and just that slightly bit more bearable. Back in the present of 2001, Giorno tries to get Koichi to ride in his car as a taxi for a reasonable price, only to screw him by stealing his luggage. Koichi then immediately starts using his stand, Echo's Act 3, to stop Giorno's car from escaping. Giorno then leaves, but then Koichi's bag isn't there. Meanwhile, a mafia enforcer by the name of Leaky Eye Luca interrogates Giorno to give him a form of tribute because Giorno has been making street-level profits by scamming people without the mafia's acknowledgement. A frog then appears before Giorno, and as Luca attacks Giorno by swinging his shovel right at him, a dent appears embedded on the back of Luca's head in the shape of the same shovel, killing him immediately. The frog then transforms into Koichi's luggage, and Giorno continues on his way like normal. A little bit later, Giorno then gets on board a train and encounters a man named Bruno Bucciarati. They both exchange a few words, and after Bruno immediately decides to leave, Giorno opens his hand and finds a severed eyeball in his hand. Dripping with sweat, Bruno appears and licks Giorno's face.
What the hell is going on? And why was my fist clenched?
You're looking at Luca's right eye. It's not currently in use, so I thought I'd bring it along. What a surprise. That's the distinct tang of a liar. Right, Giorno Giovanna?
Giorno then throws up a bunch of severed fingers which apparently used to belong to Luca. A fight starts breaking out on the train between Bruno, and Bruno starts summoning his stand, Sticky Fingers, with Giorno summoning his own stand, being Golden Experience. Once Giorno spares Bruno, they both come to an agreement that the mafia has become too corrupt in recent years, mostly being peddling drugs to women and children. Being interviewed by the absolute chunkiest boy that can put Professor Clump and Big Mum to shame, Polpo, one of the capos in Passione, conducts an interview with Giorno. Giorno is set with the task of keeping a lighter burning for 24 hours and return it to Polpo in his prison cell. Whilst Giorno is keeping an eye on the lighter, Koichi comes and steals back his passport. Giorno then uses Gold Experience to grab the lighter and make a break for it. The flame then gets put out by this little Mario-looking janitor. After reigniting it, a stand comes out of the shadows, becoming Black Sabbath. Once Giorno and Koichi have managed to defeat Black Sabbath, Giorno shares his dream with Koichi, and going back to Polpo, completing his trial, Giorno is now officially a member of Passione. Then Polpo decides to enjoy a nice little bit of banana-flavoured suicide. After that incident, Bruno is now on the hunt for Polpo's fortune, introducing us to the rest of Bruno's squad members being Mista, Narancia, Fugo and Abacchio. On the way to the island of Capri, after hearing about Polpo's suicide, and on the way there, the squad takes out an assassin and lay down some sick-ass dance moves.
Vocal percussion on a whole nother level, coming from my mind. Vocal percussion on a whole nother level, coming from my mind.
Once Bruno finds the fortune and donates it to the Familia, Bruno is then made an official capo within the Familia. Given his first mission by the boss, Bruno and his men must have to protect Trish Una, the long-lost daughter of the boss of Passione, and to escort her to his tower in Venice. But they then also must watch out for traitors and assassins along the way. After retrieving the key and taking out a few traitors to the Familia, the squad ends up on a train to Venice, but also hitches a ride on a turtle who has the stand to create a room inside its own shell. Mista and Bruno managed to barely take down two gang members with Bruno's sickest beatdown.
何をやったってしくじるもんなのさ。ゲス野郎はな。アリーベデルチ。
After taking out more assassins and playing some gay jokes, the group finally makes it to the boss's tower in Venice. Inside, Bruno escorts Trish to finally meet the boss, well, for her to meet the father that she never knew, but then we soon discover that this whole time, the boss has been wanting to kill Trish to erase any trace of his own existence, so he can't be targeted by any traitors or rival gangs. He uses his stand, King Crimson, to attack Bruno after knocking Trish unconscious. After escaping on the brink of death, Bruno is then saved by Giorno. Getting back to the rest of the group, Bruno and Giorno reveals the recent truth about the boss intended to kill Trish from the very beginning. So the boys leave leave the tower, announcing that they're going to betray the Familia, and everyone leaves here except for Fugo. Whilst on the run and taking out some assassins sent out by the boss and escaping to Venice, they grab they grab a plane and head to Sardinia, where they encounter another stand called Notorious B.I.G. During this encounter, in a desperation of survival, Trish awakens her stand, Spice Girl. After defeating the B.I.G., they end up getting to Sardinia and another encounter with some stand users. Abacchio then eventually sacrifices himself and uses the last strength to make an imprint of the boss's face using his stand Moody Blues. Once the boss's face has been revealed, Bucciarati and the others receive a voice message telling the group that they must make their way to the Colosseum in Rome. On the way there, the squad then take out some more enemy stand users, and Giorno throws down possibly the most sickest fucking beatdown since Bruno on the train.
But you said that if I just stayed still, that I would still make it out of this alive.
Oh, give me a break. If you really thought I was being serious, then you're the worthless fool. I don't spare pieces of shit!
What did you just call me?
After getting to the Colosseum, Bruno can't see for shit because he's blind as fuck and brings who he assumes is Trish. As they both walk into the Colosseum, they find a person who sent the voice message, who actually turned out to be our Frenchiest French boy, Jean-Pierre Polnareff. And he's unfortunately wheelchair bound, and the person who Bruno thought was Trish actually turns out to be the boss's right hand guy, Doppio, but then also is revealed to be the boss himself, Diavolo, obviously having a case of a split personality. French Guile reveals that the stand arrow has the ability to advance the stand's ability by evolving the stand itself. Diavolo tries to grab it, but Polnareff uses it on his own stand, Silver Chariot, turning it into Silver Chariot Requiem. This causes everyone to swap bodies, and Narancia just straight up fucking dies. Giorno gets his body back by swapping with Narancia after he already died. Diavolo chases after Chariot Requiem, but because it always goes to decide to fuck off with the arrow. Bruno died too, and then literally became Golden Wind. Diavolo couldn't grab the arrow because it was like, nah, fuck you, mate. And Giorno grabs it and decides to stab his stand Gold Experience with it, turning his stand into Gold Experience Requiem. He uses his stand's ability on Diavolo, putting him into an infinite death loop. Everyone gets their original bodies back, apart from Polnareff, who is now just permanently a turtle. And Giorno is now officially the head of the Mafia, and finally becoming the gangster he always wanted. An epilogue also plays in the back, which happens to be for, well, An epilogue happens for an episode about an artist whose stand ability, called the Rolling Stones, predicts the deaths of Abacchio, Bruno, and Narancia, and turns out that this took place during Giorno's trial to Passione, the end. So, just like when I did my Part 4 review way back when, I will be doing the localized names of stands. Yeah, just like in Part 4 of JoJo, well, more like in just other parts in general of JoJo, especially with the English dub. From Part 4 onwards, stand names got altered for international releases, and I thought I'd go through the stand names and their references, just like what I did with my Part 4 video. So for example, we got Golden Experience being Giorno's stand, being named after the Golden Experience album by Prince. The name was altered in the English release to Golden Wind. Then you got Sticky Fingers, named after the album of the same name by the Rolling Stones. This name was altered to Zipperman in the English localization. You got Moody Blues, named after a British rock band of the same name. This name was altered to Moody Jazz. Then you got Sex Pistols, named after the British punk band of the same name. This name was changed to Six Bullets. Then you got Aerosmith, named after the American rock band of the same name. It was changed to Little Bomber, but also apparently in the English dub, the little pilot that actually goes inside Little Bomber is called Mr. Smith. No idea why, but it's there. Then we got Purple Haze, named after a Jimi Hendrix album. This stand was altered to Purple Smoke. Then we got Spice Girl, named after the British pop group the Spice Girls. This name was altered to Spicy Lady in the English version. Then you got King Crimson, named after the British progressive rock band. This name was altered to Emperor Crimson. Then you got Black Sabbath, named after the British metal band of the same name. This name was altered to Shadow Sabbath in the dub. Then you got Soft Machine, named after a British jazz band. This was also changed to Tender Machine. Kraftwerk, named after a German electronic band of the same name. This was altered to Arts and Crafts. Then you got Little Feat, named after an American rock band. This name was changed to Tiny Feet in the dub. Then you got Man in the Mirror, named after the song by Michael Jackson. This stand name was altered to Mirror Man in the dub, and in other English versions of JoJo. You got Beach Boy, named after the American rock band from the 60s and 50s. This was changed to Fisherman in the English version. You got the Grateful Dead, named after another American rock band. This name was changed to The Thankful Death. Then you got Babyface, named after the American musician. This name was changed to Babyhead instead. Then you got White Album, named after by the same album made by the Beatles. This was changed to White Ice in the English version. Then you got Clash, named after another British punk band. This name was changed to Crush. Then you got the Talking Head, named after the American rock band The Talking Heads. This was changed to Talking Mouth in the dub. You got Notorious B.I.G., named after the rapper Biggie Smalls, or at least one of Biggie Smalls' alter egos. This name was changed to the Notorious Chase. Then you got Metallica, named after the American heavy metal band Metallica. This name was changed to Metallic in the English version. Then you got Green Day, named after the American pop-punk band of the same name, also one of my all-time favourite bands ever. This stand was then altered to Green Tea in the dub. Then you got Oasis, named after the British rock group of the same name. This name was changed to Sanctuary. And you finally got the Rolling Stones, named after the British rock band of the same name. This was changed to the Prophecy Stones in the English release of JoJo. So now we go into the characters, where I'm only going to talk about main characters, so I'll only be talking about the main groups. Obviously being Giorno, Bruno, Abacchio, Mista, Narancia, Fugo, Trish, and Diavolo. Because obviously, if I were to talk about Koichi, if you want to know my thoughts on Koichi and Jotaro and Polnareff and all that, obviously check out my previous JoJo videos, which you can find on in the channel. So we're going to talk about Giorno. So fun fact about Giorno first, before we get into anything. Originally, Araki wanted to make Giorno a female, but apparently the editors were pretty much against it. But if you do your research, some different articles may actually tell you different reasons as to why. Giorno is the illegitimate son of Dio Brando, conceived with Jonathan Joestar's stolen body. He's a bit of a blank slate in Part 5, but aside from that, from the almost confusing Joestar family tree, it is the closest we'll probably ever actually see to have a direct son from Jonathan Joestar being the main character. But as far as I can tell from both reading the manga and watching the dub and sub of the anime, nothing really is done with the whole thing of him being related to, well, the whole being related to Dio situation. It's just kind of drops. Like, we just get told that he's related to Dio, and that's pretty much it from there on. Then we got Bruno Bucciarati. Out of all the Joe Bros in the series, Bruno is definitely up there with one of the best ones. Well, he's up there with the best Joe Bros in the entire franchise, being up there with the likes of Caesar Zeppeli, Gyro Zeppeli, Foo Fighters, Hermes Costello, and of course Speedwagon. If anything, just like Gyro in Part 7 though, the JoBro is arguably more interesting than the actual JoJo themselves. Then we got Leo Nabakio. He starts off as a bit of an asshole at the beginning, but has an alright backstory, but he has a cool, useful stand, Moody Blues, though his death was a little bit in my opinion. But I did like how he was able to reveal Diavolo's face at that moment in time, very much using his last moments, very much like Kakyoin in Part 3 when he used the Emerald Splash against the Clock Tower in the fight against Dio at the end of Part 3. Then we've got Guido Mista. Definitely not the smartest of the group, but I mostly only see Mista as the same as I saw Polnareff in Part 3. He's the funniest character in the group, like he's there just mostly for comic relief. But other than that, he also increases the gay tension in Part 5, which is a lot of the same jokes that you would hear from many JoJo fans, myself included. Then we got Naranja Girga. Not exactly my favourite character, but he does have some decent moments in this season of JoJo. But it also did feel a little bit more impactful when he died in the later half of the season as well. Then we've got Panakota Fugo. We should have seen a little bit more of Fugo, but unfortunately we didn't get a lot about him, but it did improve with the backstory that was given to him, which was never actually in the manga. So the entire backstory about him beating the teacher with a dictionary, that's all completely anime original. Like, that was not in the original manga, not even in these hardcover reprints that came out years later. But also I do feel like we should have gotten to see more of his stand, Purple Haze. But we only got to see it appear once in the Man in the Mirror fight, back in the earlier chapters. Then we got Trish Una. I don't really know what to say about Trish. I just find her a little bit too boring for my taste, but then again, decent JoJo women do come up every now and then. And again, but for me, it's just not that, I'm just not a big Trish fan in general. I like the voice actress who did the Japanese voice of Trish, and I do like the English dub actress who did the voice of her as well. But I do appreciate her as a character and serving a bit of major purpose within Part 5, for the first half at least. Then we got Diavolo. Our main villain of Part 5 is a decent attempt at making a good bad guy that's not connected to Dio for once. But the long reveal on how he looks worked very well for majority of Part 5. And his fate after being attacked by Gold Experience Requiem is absolutely spec-fucking-tacular. And is also deserved very much like the fates of previous JoJo villains like Cars and Yoshikage Kira. So now we got my final verdict of JoJo Part 5. Well, first of all, before we do this, let's actually get this little note out of the way. I only recently noticed after rewatching and rereading everything of Part 5, I've only just noticed that no one ever refers to Giorno as JoJo or even Giojo. Now, I think it's the only part, to my memory, of all the JoJo that they don't refer to the main protagonist as JoJo. You know, from a series called JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. But yeah, Golden Wind is an okay part of JoJo. I know it's not exactly for everyone. I know even I wasn't the biggest fan of it when it first came out, because I remember I watched the anime first before going deep into the manga. But I would say after rewatching it, I do recommend it. Especially if you've already made it through this far of watching the entire series as a whole. I would highly suggest that you guys check it out. And the fact that it's written to such a decent degree, you could arguably see it as its own standalone thing. So, other than that, I would have to say, definitely check it out if you haven't. It's available on Crunchyroll, both the dub and the sub. It's on Blu-ray, as you can see behind me. You can also see it on Netflix or wherever you can to watch it. Or even read the manga. I mean, especially if you're an English reader like I am, all the volumes are out already, as you can see on my shelf. So you just go to like your local, I don't know, Waterstones, WH Smith, Baskin and Robbins or whatever, and pick up yourself a copy of JoJo.
Well everyone, thank you for making it to the end of the video. I really appreciate it if you made it this far. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit that notifications bell if you can, so you'll be up to date on everything that I'll be uploading onto the channel. And also don't forget to put down a suggestion if you like for me to do a review or do anything else in particular on the channel. Also don't forget to check out my buddy Ethan, whose Instagram will be down in the description down below, and along with his Twitch as well. Other than that, I can't really say too much for now. Don't forget to, well, do the usual, like, comment, subscribe and all that stuff, which we've already established. Don't forget to go down to the description down below where you guys find me on my Instagram, Twitter and my Twitch page as well. I'll be more active on some than the other, and I'll be live streaming as regularly as I can, and you guys will be able to see me doing pretty much whatever I like. Alright, so without further ado, I will see you lovely lads and ladies in the next one.